All right, y'all. We are 11 days away from the Alexa Grasso Valentina Shevchenko 3 fight, which is the first rivalry at 125. And I think the only trilogy in WMMA right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, yeah, there's a lot riding on this fight, especially for the Bullet. She's got to come in and show Alexa Grasso why she was the once long reigning champion at 125. I just wanted to go back and look at my top 5 favorite fights that show Valentina at her best in her well-rounded game. The order on this kind of changes around, but this is how I see it as of now. So I'm going to start with my number 5 and work my way up to my number 1 fight for Valentina Shevchenko. Okay, number 5, Joanna for the vacant flyweight title. Valentina, at this point, she was ready to take on Nico Montano for the belt, but Nico was having trouble making weight. She had to vacate the belt. So going into this title fight, I felt like Valentina was a little bit frustrated and heated. So I actually kind of felt for Joanna in this one. Joanna volunteered to take on Valentina in this fight. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. Not a lot of fans mentioned this fight, and probably for good reason. Some felt like Joanna bit off more than she could chew, moving up to 125. And taking on Val as her first fight. That, and she had lost 2 in a row to a top striker already in Rose at 115. And now she was stepping up the flyweight to take on Valentina, who she was already 0-3 against in Muay Thai, right? So my pick going into this fight was Valentina Shevchenko by finish. But, man, Joanna, she did all right in this fight. You know, she showcased some durability, a lot of heart, and activity in this fight that kind of made Valentina have to show different levels in this fight as a fighter. You know, she had to show different levels. It really turned out to be complete MMA fighter versus MMA striker. You know, Joanna, she used a lot of movement, but never really could get off anything meaningful. Val right away showed who was stronger, well-rounded, taking Joanna for several rides in the first round alone. I will give Joanna credit. She did have more success getting up than some other flyweights. But overall, Valentina, she controlled the range, landed stiffer, harder shots, some nice spin kicks in this fight, landed some nice body kicks alone, clinching and out grappling Joanna. Joanna did make it interesting in the championship rounds as Val slowed down. But overall, Val, she convincingly won 4 out of 5 rounds to me with her ability to just big sister Joanna and land some nice kicks and nice shots upstairs. I enjoyed this fight. It was a high-speed chess match at times. Joanna, she really looked strong in this fight. She actually looked stronger here at 125 than she did in some of her more recent strawweight fights, which made it a solid performance and not a mismatch. All right, number 4, Caitlyn Chan. This was Valentina's 3rd title defense against Chan, who was number 1 contender at the time. I believe Chan was 4-1 at flyweight at this point. Chan, she was a mover and defensive point fighter, outworks, outslicks her opponents. Not much power and strength, but I like her awkward style. But I knew going into this fight, it was going to be hell for her. This is another example of how dominant Val was at the time. Now she gained your respect with cage generalship, distance management, and counter-striking. First round, you already knew it was a matter of time before Val was going to land something big. When Chikagan tried to step in and land her own combination, Val caught her with a spinning back fist, took Chikagan down hard. And right there, first round, Chikagan was outgunned on the feet and on the ground. Val, she spent most of the first round mauling her, left a big mark on her with a slicing elbow, cut Chikagan open. Going into the second round, was pretty much the same. Val was just in her rhythm, landing some nice kicks to the head, to the body. But that crispest kick of all was that spin kick to the face, man. That spin kick to the face that she landed on Chikagan just kind of put Chikagan in her place, man, because from there, she had no answer. But by the 3rd round, Chikagan, she tried to open up. But at that point, Val was tired of playing around, playing the counter striker. She took Chikagan down one more time, got her into a crucifix, unloaded strikes, unloaded elbows, till the referee stopped it in the 3rd round. So, yeah, that was just another good example of Val's dominance throughout her career. I just like how she was able to mix it up. You know, nice spin kicks, good crisp kicks to the body, to the legs, good takedowns, and just good top control throughout this one. So, yeah, just a perfect example of how strong Valentina was and how powerful she was on the feet. All right, number 3. After Valentina Shevchenko's win over Holly Holm, 6 months later, she took on the number 2 Juliana Pena in the number 1 versus number 2 main event. I was actually picking Juliana Pena in this fight, thinking that her wrestling and aggression was going to play a big factor, but I forgot to factor in the recklessness of Pena at the time. You know, Shevchenko, she showed how she could remain calm, cool, and collected under high pressure from a dog, taking her time in the clinch from an aggressive Pena in the first round. Val, she ate a few knees to get a read on Pena, time a good solid takedown, only to do it again in the same round. Val, she might have lost the first round, but her strength and top control, it was very effective on Pena's style. I mean, Val, she handled Pena's bottom attack solid. She was able to stop an armbar attempt from Juliana Pena. So overall, I could tell that, Shevchenko just had that high IQ as far as, getting a read on Pena's aggression and just any of her submission attempts. Pena, she was really trying to ragdoll Valentina in this fight, but I think Shevchenko, she did a really good job of keeping her balance and just letting Pena wear herself down. Val, at one point, she did get taken down in the second round, but off of her back, she did well, fending off Pena's work in the guard till finally Val caught that right arm slipping. She snatched it out, isolated that arm. With only 30 seconds left in the second round, Val handled that dog well, got a second round armbar over Juliana Pena. She showcased great ground game in this fight, got my respect in this one. Definitely had to put this one on the list. All right, number 2, Holly Holm. Valentina Shevchenko's first 5-round fight. Holm's return after losing the belt to Miesha Tate only 4 months earlier. Being a Holly Holm fan, I was actually going for Holly in this fight, of course. But I felt this fight was a little too soon for her, man, especially in the fashion that she lost to Miesha Tate. After losing to Miesha Tate, she came back 4 months later to fight Valentina Shevchenko. Got to give a lot of respect to Holly Holm for that, though. This was a good example of speed and strength versus quickness and timing. Holly very strong and fast, but Valentina, she has that ability to read her opponents and just stay one step ahead and time you easily. You can see the size difference in this fight, but that's what made it even more amazing with how Valentina just neutralized the bigger fighter and got her respect. Even though Holly did score a knockdown in the first round, Valentina was slowly finding her home with those low kicks to the lead leg and that nice right hook every time Holly Holm tried to enter. Val easily found Holm's rhythm round after round, taking her down hard in the third round and mauling her and out-strengthening her. I mean, if you see the look on Holly's face in the third round, it was like, wow, look, this girl is strong. Can't believe she's this strong. Going into the championship rounds, most of these rounds were spent with Holly landing too few here and there and unable to put together a sequence because of Shevchenko's countering abilities. Shevchenko, she just spent the rounds ripping the lead leg, cracking Holly with those straight left hands and the step-in right hook every time Holly tried to put together a combination. So, yeah, Shevchenko, she really owned this fight. When I go back and look at it, she owned this fight in all the areas, on the feet, the ground, the strength, on the inside, however you want to look at it. She was able to take Holly's best and take away her rest. This fight really showcased Valentina Shevchenko's timing and her work, her IQ. This fight also showed me that Holly really needed to switch up her camp. And I think she really needed to switch up her camp when it came down to her striking abilities and just her overall ability as an MMA fighter. It's definitely a fight I like to go back and watch. It was speed versus timing. Holly just got picked apart by the smaller fighter here. Valentina, stronger in every area. All right, before I do my number 1, let me go ahead and drop my honorable mention. I know a lot of y'all probably felt this was going to be my number 1, but it's not. And that is the Jessica Eye fight. All right, I know this is number 1 on a lot of y'all's lists, but on mine, I had to put it just as an honorable mention. Excellent knockout. Definitely one of the more memorable finishes from Valentina Shevchenko, but I just felt like it wasn't a fight that really showcased Valentina's IQ as far as having to work for it or, just seeing her at her best. Well, this was, I guess you can't say it was her best because of the fashion that she put Jessica Eye to sleep in and definitely separated the two. But as far as like seeing Valentina really have to work and showcase like some of those other skills against a much better opponent, I just didn't want to put it on the list like that. But definitely an honorable mention. I mean, we all know why. I mean, that head kick was replaying in my head that whole week. The sound of it, wow. And I definitely feel like this is one of the reasons why a lot of the flyweights weren't in a rush to take on Valentina Shevchenko at the time. All right. I mean, the first round alone, great body kicks from Valentina Shevchenko, great distance management again, solid takedown, good work on the ground. But going into that second round, I mean, the setup, it was there. From the jump, you could see it was there. I mean, from the first round, you could see it. I mean, it was body kick, right? But going into the second round, Valentina was done playing. She saw it there. Guess she saw I wasn't going to try to defend and switch anything up. So she said, body, head. And that was it. That's all she wrote. I mean, very scary knockout. It was very scary seeing Jessica Eye lay there in that fashion. But again, that definitely adds to the resume and the reputation of Valentina Shevchenko as one of the more dangerous WMMA fighters of all time. All right, my number one, back to 125 for Valentina Shevchenko's fifth title defense, and that was against none other than Jessica Andrade. As y'all know, Jessica Andrade, she's like that unofficial BMF in WMMA. She's fought everyone from 135 to 115, and at this point, she was making her stop to 125. After stopping Chikagan, she was ready to go for that title and make a big statement. But so was the bullet. I mean, honestly, Andrade, her best chances were her landing a big shot if Shevchenko chose to keep it standing. Because even in the strength and grappling department, I had to favor Valentina. I know somebody had asked me once, who do I think is stronger, Valentina or Jessica? And I did a video on it, and I broke it down, and I had to go with Valentina. And I was right. You know, Valentina, she spent little time picking Andrade apart and just went on the inside here, body locked Andrade up in the first round and handled her like a little baby. I mean, the positions, she would wrap Andrade up in this fight, just these awkward angles where Andrade couldn't break free and just take her down with ease and slam her down. It was like Andrade had no ground experience or strength at all. I mean, she handled Andrade's physical strength like it was nothing. I mean, the first takedown in the first positioning that Valentina had her in, you could see Andrade didn't know what to do. Like, she was off balance and she couldn't really get that leverage like she usually does with these other girls, you know. And this was all in the first round. I mean, here and there, Valentina would go back to range, land a few straight left hands and land the jab and pick her apart for just like less than a minute. But then she would go right back on the inside and clinch up, take Andrade down. Second round, Valentina was in complete control. And at one point, when Andrade had backed Valentina to the cage, I knew it was over. When she dropped that level, tried to go in for that big slam, and Valentina wouldn't budge. Valentina would not budge. And when she couldn't get that big slam, you could see the frustration on Andrade, and she started just kind of give out from there. Valentina, she took Andrade down one more time, locked her in a crucifix, and that was all she wrote. She landed multiple strikes and elbows. Andrade just couldn't get up. She couldn't break free, just didn't have that strength, so the referee had to step in and stop it. So, yeah, throughout this whole fight, you know, Andrade on the ground, she just looked helpless on her back. She just felt somebody so much stronger than her in Valentina, and she didn't know how to handle it. She just did not know how to handle it. Valentina, she scored a perfect 7 out of 7 takedowns in this one. This was another fight where Shevchenko, she could have used her striking, but showcased a beautiful performance with grappling skills and IQ. So, yeah, I had to put this one as my number one for today, or however I feel right now, because it's a fight I like to go back and look at, just see Valentina show that level of courage, of how she can just switch on the fly and go in there against a very strong opponent and prove that she's a better fighter. You know, I know Andrade, we call her one-dimensional. She doesn't really offer a lot of weapons, but she does offer, you know, freakish power, freakish athleticism and strength, but none of that was present the way Valentina was able to handle her. And that's why I like to go back and watch this fight. And it's one of my favorites of Valentina Shevchenko.